everyone, and welcome to Campaign's latest online briefing, Creativity You Can Hear, Audio Storytelling, Targeting, and the Future. I'm Austin Allison, the editor of Campaign Middle East. If you want to know more about Campaign Middle East, you can check us out at campaignme.com. You can listen to our podcast on Anghami or wherever you get podcasts. And come to our event. Our next event is physical. It's on out-of-home media, and we're actually holding it out of our home. It's going to be on the 25th of October at the Westin, Mina Siahi, so watch our website for more details. You can go to our website and register for Marcoms 360 Predictions 2022, which is our annual flagship event, and it's also going to be taking place physically as well as streamed on November the 11th at 5 The Palm, so do make sure you get your registrations in there early. Our first panel, though, is called Lend Me Your Ears. It's going to look at the creative potential of audio as a storytelling medium. It's going to be, so I'd like to welcome that panel. I won't steal any more of your thunder. I'd like to welcome the moderator, who is Joubran Abdul, who is the Vice President of Commercial at Anghami. And Joubran is joined by Samman, who is the Integration Director of One Team Stellantis at Publicis Groupe. He's also joined by Shatsi Gita, who works on Quaker. She is a Senior Marketing Manager there at PepsiCo International. And Claire Fletcher, I got almost through the names without slipping up. I beg your pardon, Claire. Claire Fletcher Calvert is the Head of Engagement at the media agency OMD. So without any more ado, I'm going to hand over to you guys. Take it away, Joubran.
We're here today to talk about how marketeers can leverage the power of audio, right, as a medium, and what that future holds for the audio advertising industry as a whole. Let's get started with a small game here. So I'm going to play some audio clips for you, and Ray, Claire, and Shatsi, I would like to hear some how it makes you feel.
Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a
It didn't?
without a roof.
Working
So
now
how did that make you feel?
made me feel like putting on my trainers and going for a run and bolting from this building now that the weather's all nice.
Ray?
Yeah, that was very nostalgic. It brought me back to the days when we really saw the marketing stunt that they've done, that 24 hours dance on digital. It always sparks that memory, that song.
And last but not least,
Absolutely, it's super nostalgic. I think this song really transformed the way we looked at flash mobs for a couple of weeks, I guess.
Exactly.
I mean, in those weeks, it feels like a lifetime, but it was probably a couple of days, but it was all over our feeds. So yeah, absolutely.
So I'm gonna play the second, if you want, song, and let's see how that makes you feel.
Goodbye, my lover. Goodbye, my friend. You have been the one.
So, Shatsi?
I think this feels like a girlfriend's breakup song over ice cream, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely. For me, this like sums up COVID. It accompanied many WhatsApps. And James Blunt is just so brilliant on Twitter as well. So making fun of himself was great in accompaniment.
Again, so many unforgiving memories of the teen years, which I don't want to dwell on a lot.
All right, so if you can see that in less than a minute, how we managed to feel two different emotions, literally through 2 6-second song bites that we had. So now let's try this. So what do you remember when you listen to this?
This for me is full on childhood. Like we used to head to the beach as a family, and this always just reminded me of salt, sea, family, happiness, break. Yeah, this takes me back.
Now this is my childhood.
Exactly.
Don't take away how old I am, but this is absolutely my Game Boy.
I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. It's like the OG of gaming, right?
What started it all, honestly, man.
Just to conclude here on the first question, so with these two last audio bites that we played, it just makes, these are recognizable brands, right? And I think with these recognizable sounds, no one doesn't know them because they've been not only played throughout childhood, right? But these are also, so for example, the 20th Century Fox has been around for I don't know how many decades, and it still is super, you know it very well.
It's inevitable to start saying that audio is some of the oldest forms of storytelling and in general. So I think people started off telling stories and telling tales around campfires, regardless where the campfire is, whether it's in a forest or in the desert reciting poetry, but telling stories through words is the first form of storytelling, I think, in a couple of cultures, but also in a couple of ancient civilizations. So
I think the audience at this moment in time, they are more aware than ever, fortunately as well, because out of that, we get a lot of learnings ourselves as marketers and advertisers. There's always a need state for on-demand platforms right now that allows the consumer to basically tell you what they want to consume, when do they want to consume that.
I think very much the rise of audio has been spearheading from this oversaturation of digital ads and video content, right? Like there is so much hitting us and we might be there, but we almost become numb to it. So I think this platform is so underrated because it is a storytelling platform. And I think, you know, to go back to what Shatsi said, instead of just gathering around a campfire listening to it, audio began, you know, when we started in the womb. You know, our eyes were shut, you know, our brains hadn't activated yet. The first thing that we experience and interact with is our mother's heartbeat.
I'm now going to be hosting the second panel, which we've called Cast Away. Do you see what we did? And it's going to be, we focused on, so thank you so much, guys. We focused on a lot on, or we looked a lot at podcasts in the first panel. This is going to be focusing specifically on podcasts. It's going to be looking at how brands can make the most of podcasts to market and promote themselves. And I'm going to be joined by two of the people who know podcasts best in the region. I'm going to be joined by Cheryl King, who's the managing director of Marketeers. Marketing director of Managers, you know what I mean. And also by Layla Hamadi, who is the co-founder and CEO of Finial Media. So great to see you guys, and yeah, really good to see you and hopefully to hear you as well.
Serial was definitely a huge kind of turning point, I think, for podcasts, and by that I mean that the series at Serial that has reached, I think, millions of people that worldwide now, and that suddenly put podcasting front and foremost in terms of popular culture. And from then on in, it's now become a hugely kind of topical thing. I was just looking at the latest stats from the US. I think 60% of the population now listen to podcasts 60%. Which is huge, and in the region as well, it's a fast kind of growing community, and it is really sort of pushing the boundaries sort of forward.
I think there's two things that are really sort of appealing and attractive about podcasts at this particular point in time. One of those is the pure growth rates that we're seeing in the sector, which are almost unparalleled anywhere else. And, you know, you talked a little bit about the renaissance or the resurgence of podcasts that we saw, you know, when Serial came out. But I would also say, you know, in the last 18 months or so since the pandemic, this has been an absolute game changer for the podcasting sector, right? So if you look at, you know, the global stats around this space, we saw that in 2020 alone, there were 17,000 new podcasts coming into the market every single week.
That's 17,000, like, title, not even episodes, actual...
Not even episodes, new podcast titles. at a global level, right? These are huge figures.
You know, YouTube, for example, is one of the fastest growing platforms to consume podcast content on. You look at the likes of Joe Rogan's podcast, for example, and how people just consume content in different ways. You know, we're talking now, but we're doing this through Zoom. You know, people are looking for different ways to consume content. And I think one of the positive things about the pandemic has been that podcasting can be done virtually as well. So it's super easy. You don't always have to do it sort of sat down. And that's, I think, has been a big thing. And but it's been one of the winners, I think, in terms of comms throughout the last 18 months. You know, we've seen so many events get cancelled. But one thing that I think has been really, really good to see is the fact that podcasting, I think, has been fueled in part by the fact it's so easy to do from a kind of audio perspective through sort of virtual platforms. And obviously the audio needs to be great. I think the podcasts are a lot more sophisticated now than they used to be.
You can find out more about all that we've discussed, and you can find new writing by and about the panelists in Campaign Middle East on campaignme.com, in our newsletters, do sign up to those on the website, on our social channels, on our podcasts, and through webinars like this. Also, remember to get in touch for our digital essays if you want to be involved with that. They're coming up soon. Watch out for our out-of-home guide coming out at the end of the month. Sign up for Marcoms on our website and keep an eye out for details on our out-of-home breakfast briefing, which is coming up. So thank you everyone for attending. As always, thanks for making up our community, and really looking forward to seeing some of you in person for the first time in a long time at some of our upcoming events. I've been Austin Allison, the editor of Campaign Middle East. Till next time, stay safe and goodbye.